All right, folks. Guys, listen. I'm gonna go with this live real quick, to the point, straight to it. Okay. Um, uh, I'm gonna do this for Irish Aid. I want you guys to see this because it's very important that we point out these things. And this is with Andrew Lavalley and Ibrahim Tomi. Andrew Lavalley is the director for IGR, Institute for Governance Reform, and Ibrahim Tomi is the director for CAR, Center for Accountability and Rule of Law. I'm going to find a day where, I will talk about their names, but this video, guys, just make sure you share. This video is for, for Irish Aid, because Irish Aid is one of the partners, or one of the donors of, IGR and Carl. So basically, again, let me just go over that. Carl is Ibrahim Tomi is the director of whatever title he gives himself, but Ibrahim Tomi is the director or executive officer or whatever it is for the Center for Accountability and Rule of Law. And then IGR is Ibrahim, is Andrew Lavalley, is the director for IGR Institute for Governance Reform. So recently, I'm going to talk about a posting that Andrew Lavalley made, where it said over 60 countries postpone elections due to COVID. The reason why I want to share that with you, and before I go any further, I just want to let you all know that the elections in Sierra Leone is going to, occur in 2023 for sure. Nothing is going to change that. The presidential elections, and matter of fact, next year we have local council elections where Marcela Samba should be working on that. So I just want to, let every one of you guys understand that the elections in Sierra Leone is going to go on. Nothing is going to stop that elections. But really, what I want to share with you, and I want you guys to see this, is this is the website for Irish Aid in Sierra Leone, right? This is their address to Irish Aid in Sierra Leone. So that is why I want you guys to, share this with, Irish Aid, because, there's certain questions that we have that I'm going to break down for you guys when it comes to the failures of civil societies in Sierra Leone today, especially with the Ibrahim Tomi, the Andrew Lavalley. And by the way, just so you guys know who I'm talking about, let me, make sure I put these guys on the screen so you guys would see who these folks are. That way, there's no, questions, and, it makes it a lot more easier for all of us to, all right. So the first guy I'm going to show you guys, of course, is going to be Ibrahim Tomi. This is Ibrahim Tomi. I want you guys to see this before I even get into the conversation deep. Ibrahim Tomi is the, like I said, the director of CARL, Center for Accountability and Rule of Law. Same country where people have been killed, massacred. We've never heard this guy made a comment, but these guys are receiving funding, to continue to do their work as civil societies. We know how these guys were going after the APC government of former President Nkrumah, but now that SLPP is in power, they're not doing none of that stuff. This is Ibrahim Tomi, and I'm also going to share his Facebook post with you. And this is what I want to do before I even start this, because this is the posting that this guy made, Ibrahim Tomi. So I want to share with you guys. I want you guys to see this. This was done yesterday at 3:42. Today is the 20th, so yesterday the 19th. So Ibrahim Tomi posted this. It says it's official. NEC says COVID-19 will have no effect on plans for the 2023 presidential and general elections. Elections will be conducted as planned. So stop fake news, right? That is Ibrahim Tomi posting that. And I want to just set the record straight so that nobody can say, oh no, what is Ibrahim talking about? Look, elections. I just want you guys to know that the reason why Ibrahim Tomi posted this, the reason why was because of the challenges, because of the backlash that he had. When Andrew Lavalley, and I'm still trying to find that poster where Andrew Lavalley posted, say, over 60 countries postpone elections due to COVID. That is why I want to show you guys this off the bat. So share this with Ibrahim Tomi and Andrew Lavali. You see, guys, SLPP, they think they can distract us, but they cannot. You know, we are 10 times and million times smarter than a lot of these guys. But again, this goes back to the APC as a political party. Why is it that the APC did not strengthen their own civil society organizations? Because at least maybe they would have stood up today to the SLPP, because a lot of these guys were empowered by former President Nkrumah. So really what I want to talk to you guys about is, let me share this this young man. This young man, I'm going to share his page with you, is Josephus J. Ellie. He's an advisor at Irish Aid. So he works for Irish Aid. And this guy is definitely known, you know, for, you know, one of the Pauper guys. Of course, he's a big, you know, pusher for the Pauper ideology and everything. And guys, you know, so this was the flyer that was sent out. So these guys had, you know, this conversation at AYV and SLBC yesterday. For reasons, because I don't want this live to be too long, I'm not going to be able to share that with you. But I want you guys to see, because I'm building the case to why I'm coming after these guys. Again, so this is Josephus J. Ellie, because Josephus J. Ellie, of course, is strategically positioned and placed at Irish Aid because he's the biggest facilitator for their funding between IGR and Carl. So again, IGR is Andrew Lavali's civil society organization, and Carl is Ibrahim Tomi's civil society organization. So I just want to lay these facts out before I even, you know, delve deep. So Ibrahim Tomi came out yesterday, of course, after the fact, to tell us that, hey, or anybody that's saying that elections is not going to, you know, take place, you know, in 2023, then that person is actually spreading the fake news. Because now you all know that the elections definitely is going to go on in 2023. So now that that myth has been busted, now we know that there's not going to be any, you know, issues or problems. Let me set the stage for you guys. Let me set the stage for you guys. I want you guys to understand this. So, of course, like I said, you know, yesterday, which was, you know, the 19th, so Andrew Lavali, who is the executive director for IGR, in partnership with Carl, that is Ibrahim Tomi, Center for Accountability and Rule of Law, with funding from Irish Aid. So they put out this flyer, right? Like I told you guys, I could not find that flyer for some reason. But the flyer read, over 60 countries postpone elections due to COVID. So that flyer in itself was very deceitful, right? Again, this is the page of Ibrahim Tomi. I just want you guys to know. So the question is, we've seen across the country how deceitful, first of all, our title is, because we've seen how America had the most people that died of COVID, had an election. We see Ghana, we see Burkina Faso, we see Benin. So what these guys were doing when they put out that flyer, Andrew Lavali put out that flyer, it was setting the spadework for them to position themselves, for the government to postpone the elections. So of course, people engaged them on Facebook. They were engaged. And so what happened was, after the engagements, we saw them, you know, they went on TV, this guy, Ibrahim Tomi. So, you know, went on AYV and SLBC to talk about that. But then when you look at the panel, which I'm going to share with you guys. So actually, and before I go any further, let me just let you know that IGR and Carl secured funding to look into, you know, the effects of, you know, COVID, right? So, however, though, one very first, you know, questionable thing, the governor's advisor, like I said, this guy, Joseph Oselli, this guy, was the one that secured the funding for Andrew Lavalley and Ibrahim Tomi for conduct this research. You know, of course, this Joseph Oselli guy uses his office to secure funding for Carl and IGR, and both of these organizations, IGR and Carl, basically are known to be SLPP leaning. They lean so much towards SLPP. So of course he used his office, this Joseph Oselli guy, to actually, push to secure funding for these guys. So now of the research that they did, the data that they got, the first one was on human rights. So the impact of COVID-19 on human rights. Take notes, guys. That was the first one. So the whole thing was largely qualitative. They want us to look at the laws that government passed through NACOVAC, all the regulations, and how those regulations actually affected people during the COVID time. So their general finding, to summarize on how COVID affects human rights, they said and consider, Andrew Lavalley and Ibrahim Tomi considers the findings to be appropriate of the way the government actually instituted these measures towards COVID when it comes to human rights. But apart from that, there were several human rights violations. You all see how police were beating up people when they put these restrictions, right? People that, missed the curfew and all of that, they were beaten up with canes and belts and all that stuff. But unfortunately, there was no recording in their findings on accountability to say, okay, for these police officers that actually were beating up people, are they going to be held accountable for their actions? So those that, police officers, they will take gun, they knock people in the head, they take the belts and beat people during those days. So the first study did not critically look at all of that, the accountability aspect of things, or possible other options. Was the emergency really even necessary? Was a state of 1 year state of emergency necessary? Because the countries that were hard hit, we didn't have a 1 year state of emergency like in America or London or UK or all these other places. So was that even necessary? So all of that was not even mentioned in the first part of their report, in the first study. The second study looked at how the COVID-19 impacted political party activities. So the major finding for that, they said there were several challenges. So they look at issues, they said, did you see anything about the increase of SGVB? This female genital mutilation was the other part of the finding. That was what the other research that they were doing was for. So the question is, what is the reference? There was not much political activities anyway. 1 or 2 political parties had lower level elections. So the APC did not. But of course, a lot of the SLPP had a lot of lower elections, conventions, all that stuff. So they're looking at political party activities. Where did they get all that information from? 2018 elections was 2 years before COVID. So are they going to get their references from 2018? So the problem is, did they use the wrong period to make the assessment? This is the questions we have for Irish Aid. Because there was limited political activities. So if you want to see how women were impacted, because that was part of what they were doing, so go and talk to the women in parliament if you want to know how women were affected. But these guys think we're fools. But you know, the biggest thing is, even though they made a very good recommendation, but most of the recommendations were made towards political parties. But yesterday, no political party was represented at this dialogue that they had. No political party was represented. And then the last part of the piece of research, so for the last piece, they use a scorecard. So on the scorecard, they have self-rating and expert rating. So for instance, if you're a nurse, they want to find out how, you know, nurses in a certain hospital were affected, or, you know, or the ones that are in orthopedic. What, you know, how do you guys think you performed during this COVID time? So rate yourself 1 to 10. 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. So anybody can rate himself. You can take it to any department for people to rate themselves. Or you can go to expert ratings, so you can go to doctors. So what these guys did was they could put all these ratings together and find an average from the nurses or from doctors, from professionals, experts, or self. And from that finding, you know, their colleagues, the experts, and their rating, everybody said they have the skills, the infrastructure, the expertise to conduct 2023 elections, and that COVID would have no impact. That was their recommendation. Would have no impact in a free, fair, successful election. So the question is, why Andrew Lavalley of IGR comes out to say over 60 countries don't postpone the elections due to COVID, if all of those findings prove them wrong, and it was misleading. So a lot of those countries that they called, that were maybe the elections were postponed, were municipal elections, you know, maybe a small village election, and some of those decisions were postponed, but they've gone back to conduct those elections. So no election was postponed. What kind of election was postponed? How long were they postponed? These facts are not out there in their findings. So all of that is not clear. So just come out and say 60 countries postpone elections due to COVID was misleading, because they try to set an agenda for them to postpone the 2023 elections. But now you've done your research that Shade sponsored, and the people have told you that COVID would have no effect, no impact on the next election in 2023. You know that from that finding. Over 10 countries in Africa has conducted elections. You had that information, but you came out here to have this, to put this flyer out there. I mean, Benin, Ethiopia, Somaliland. Talk about Somaliland. You guys forget that even former President Nkrumah has been going around conducting elections. Somaliland, all of these places. So Sierra Leone is ready for its 2023 general elections. So to what extent can the civil society support this process? These guys have to think about this. But they flipped it. Oh, they came and said, oh, 60 countries have postponed the elections. They were on an agenda. Because the things that were raised, the election monitoring bodies, them, I've said it. EMBs, the electoral monitoring bodies, they've said it clearly that COVID would have no impact, no effect on any of our elections. So all of this, what I've learned is that these civil society organizations, they were trying to push an agenda, but they failed woefully. They were trying to push an agenda for their own political interest. But when you look at the panel, look at the panel. Look at the panel. Dr. Gaima, Governor's Advisor, State House. Minister of Gender. NEC Chairman. No political party was invited. No political voice from there. So all what this was, they were looking to test the waters. They were looking to test the waters. Let's say this and let's see what kind of reactions we're gonna have. That's what Andrew Lavali did, and that's what Ibrahim Tomi did. That's what they did. But they were rebuked. And that was why you see Ibrahim Tomi comes now and posts this. You know, you say you're civil societies, but you're serving your paymasters, and that was what these guys showed. The people of Sierra Leone would not accept that, and 2023 wants our elections. And we're going to have our elections. As it's clearly stated right there from Ibrahim Tomi of Carl. Why are they trying to deceive us? Why the funding that they received from Irish Aid? After they did all their research, they found out that every question from the experts, from their colleagues, all the questions that they ask, does COVID have any impact? Would COVID have any impact on our elections? All of these people said no, it would not have any impact on our elections. So Irish Aid, the question is, you guys have to start doing a thorough background check on how you guys are giving these monies. Because again, Josephus Heli is the SLPP. There is nothing wrong with him supporting the SLPP as a political party if that is his political party. But Irish Aid, I think it's time you guys start to do a thorough background check into some of these people that you're giving your funding. Because for Ibrahim Tomi and Andrew Lavali of IGR and Carl to come out here and throw out the statement that was thrown out by Andrew Lavali, say over 60 countries postpone elections due to COVID, that is false. If they already had the results from the findings, from the research that they did, all the money, the funding that you gave to them, they found out from the research that they did that everybody said, all the experts, every people that they spoke to, the respondents from their research, every one of them recommended that COVID would have no effect on our elections. The other day I put out a video, guys, if you guys are following track here. The other day I put out a video where I mentioned that Sierra Leone is prepared for the next elections. Marcela Samba should be going around and teaching people and educating everybody about these elections. So be rest assured, guys, we're gonna have our elections, but these guys were caught in a lie. They're caught in a deceit. And again, when you look at their names, Ibrahim Tomi, Carl, Center for Accountability and Rule of Law. Where's the rule of law in Sierra Leone today? A sitting member of parliament is arrested. Michael Mansare was arrested. Ibrahim Tomi, what is the title of your civil society organizations? And that is why people like Ibrahim Tomi and Andrew Lavali, we're going to push for a tribunal for these people. These people should be asked questions. These people should be prosecuted. These people should be challenged for everything that has happened in the country. And Irish Aid, you have to look into the activities of Josephus Heli. I want you guys to share this. How is he disbursing funds? How is he, enabling, creating sources of funding for these organizations, Carl and IGR? When these civil society organizations are leading towards the SLPP party, the government in power today, they're not seeking the interests of the people. These civil society organizations are not seeking the interests of the people. How can you come out here when you know that the research that you did told us the findings were no impact, nothing? COVID, we will not have on COVID. The COVID-19 COVID pandemic will not have no impact on our elections in 2023. You knew that from the findings of the research that you did, but you still went ahead and came out here and throw this over 60 countries postpone elections due to COVID. Where did you get that information from, Andrew Lavali? Where did you get that information from? When we know we've seen country after country that had elections. Country after country that had elections. Ghana had elections. America had elections. Benin had elections. Burundi had elections. Philippines had elections. All of these countries had elections. Even the ones that postponed certain elections like municipal elections or council elections or ward elections, they came back and had their elections. But because Ibrahim Tomi, they were caught in a lie, that's when Ibrahim Tomi came back out now and said it's official. NEC says COVID-19 will have no effect on plans for 2023 presidential elections. So guys, I'm going to leave this agenda to rest. We're not going to talk about this anymore. We know we are preparing for 2023 elections. It's going to happen. The people of Sierra Leone are going to vote these guys out, get rid of the SLPP once and for all. They've brought nothing but misery, pain, and suffering to the hearts and minds of the people. Nothing. They've killed our people. Lack of leadership. Nothing but crooks and thieves. That's what we have in this SLPP government today. Barbarians, killers, thieves, and crooks, murderers. That's what we have in this SLPP today. And then you have these civil societies, the Ibrahim Tomis, the Andrew Lavalis. These are people that should protect our constitution, protect the citizens of that country. They've not been doing that. So guys, I just want to let you all know, we're going to leave this. We're not going to talk about this anymore because, Marcela Samba, if anything, we are waiting for what is the plans for 2023 elections. That is what we're waiting on. For 2022 local council elections, that is what is important, and that is what we're waiting on for you right now. But Irish Aid, we better start looking at your activities and check yourselves how you give funding to these civil society organizations. And again, your man, Josephus Eli, he has a right to belong to any political party. But we should look at how he allocates these funds, because again, these guys are his buddies. They're all the same political party, and they know this Josephus Eli to be a pauper, energetic pauper guy, a staunch pauper. Again, you have a right to belong to your political party, but if your political party, affiliations shrouds your sense of nationalism, then that's when it becomes a problem. And that is what we have in people like Ibrahim Tomi and Andrew Lavali. So again, guys, we're going to lay this to rest. Our elections are going to take place 2023. We're going to have our elections. This is Ibrahim Tomi of Carl. He posted this after they were attacked yesterday for throwing out a comment saying over 60 countries postponed elections due to COVID. And that was so untrue. That was them testing the waters to see if it is possible for them to postpone the elections of 2023. But they were caught in the lie. And now that's why he came out here to tell us that the elections are going to take place in 2023 and we should stop fake news. Nobody's pushing fake news. It is what you guys said. When you come out here and put out a flyer saying that over 60 countries postponed elections due to COVID, that was what people went on, and you were intellectually engaged, and that is why you guys backed down and say, you know what, this is not a fight that we can win. But you guys thought that you can win that fight because you thought that you're sitting with stupid people in that country. But some of us are more woke than you guys. But Sierra Leoneans, let us just be rest assured. I just wanted to point this out. These guys were given funding from Irish Aid, but Irish Aid has to do a thorough background check moving forward. How are they doing due diligence to ensure that the monies that they're giving to these guys, to Ibrahim Tomi and Andrew Lavali, are done correctly, are done for the right things? These guys are honest enough. They have integrity to protect our democracy, but they don't have integrity. They don't have any sense of nationalism in them. All they're thinking about is their political party and their friends in power now, and that is why they don't care about the sufferings of the people of Sierra Leone. So again, guys, I'm going to give you the this is Irish Aid. This is their address, and matter of fact, let me give you guys the actual website, their address in Ireland for my folks in London. Let me share this with you guys, so maybe you guys can write to them and tell them how you feel. This is it right here. This is their headquarters. Riverstone House, 23 to 27 Henry Street, Limerick. And then you guys know, you guys that live in Dublin, Ireland, this is the address, all of this. I want you guys to contact these people. Look at their phone numbers and everything. As you can see, these are the phone numbers. You want just what you guys are writing to Irish Aid is that you want due diligence to be done, and for some solid questions to be asked about how their funding is being used. It is being used very deceitfully. Andrew Lavalley of IGR, Institute for Governance Reform, and Ibrahim Fofanah of CARL, Center for Accountability and Rule of Law, these guys are very deceitful. If you did a research and the research said one thing in the findings, you presented that to Irish Aid, but then you come to the people of Sierra Leone and throw this, just threw this out there that over 60 countries postponed elections due to COVID because they were setting up the framework to see if it is possible for them to postpone the next elections in 2023 so that their political party can stay in power. And then you have Josephus Helly, who is the one of the works at Irish Aid, who facilitated the funding for IGR. This is the guy right here, Josephus Helly. He facilitated the funding for Ibrahim Fofanah and Andrew Lavalley. He facilitated that funding for these guys. But now he's here posting because he was caught in a lie. But anyways, guys, I'm going to leave this live right here. Enjoy your evening. Tomorrow, I have something for you guys. We're going to talk about citizenship again one more time. I think we have a lot of questions to ask President Bio about his status, his citizenship. But we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But this one, I just wanted to let IGR, Ibrahim Fofanah and CARL, Andrew Lavalley of IGR and Ibrahim Fofanah of CARL. Guys, these are all civil society organizations. I want them to know we are watching at them. They are not smart. They think they're clever. They're not. But as it has been said, we know our elections is in 2023, and we already have the election calendar set up by Mohamed Kanel Wekone, the electoral commissioner. So that is, we're not even going to go into all of that because that has already been set, and we know that for a fact. So that is the least of our worries. We're not going to even talk about that. All right, bye-bye, everybody. Have a good evening.